Hello, everybody. It's Ollie, co-founder of Wonnda. In this episode, I'm talking to Caroline from BIO ROM. BIO ROM is a European contract manufacturer. They are focusing on beauty products. In our conversation, Caroline gives us a lot of insights in how to source and launch a beauty product. She will dive into the differences between white label cosmetics, private label cosmetics, and custom manufacturing. She leaves us with a lot of very insightful tips on how to get started, and also once you have already your existing product line, how to scale it up. So let's dive right into it. Let's start a conversation with Caroline. Hi everyone, today we are welcoming Caroline from BIO ROM. Caroline is one of our actually first partner suppliers. So she has been following the Wonnda journey, so to say, since day one. So we are very excited to have her here today. She will tell us a lot about private label skincare, how to launch your own product, when you should go into white label, private label, or even custom development. But I'm not the right person to speak about that, so I'm handing it over to Caroline, and I would love to hear a short intro for the audience from your side.
Hi, thank you for having me in your podcast. So, my name is Caroline. I basically grew up with cosmetics because my dad has a cosmetic company. We produce cosmetics, but we also distribute raw materials, Dead Sea Salt and Dead Sea Mud, and we have our own brand. For 7 years now, I'm already in the company and I'm taking it over step by step. So, it has been a very interesting, challenging, but really cool journey.
Cool. Caroline, your personal journey, you started already a little bit explaining it. So coming actually from the manufacturer side, manufacturing skincare, distributing it, but you also started your own brand, right? So can you give us a little bit insights from that journey? Because I think it's very exciting that you actually see both sides, right? So you see the manufacturing side, where it's really about way different topics, way more operations heavy. And then you have your brand side, where it's a bit more about marketing, sales, and B2C. So give us a little insight here. That would be lovely.
Yeah, this was very interesting because, with our main company, we already have a brand, but the entire company is focused on business to business operations. And now, recently, about a year ago, I started with our new brand, Muy Caro, which I founded with a co founder. So that was also a new experience to actually have somebody really by the side. And it's a B2C brand, so really to the end consumer. And that was quite kind of a new world that I stepped into because, as you said, it had new perspectives, which we were not so much focusing on before. And that was very interesting because I feel that now I know maybe even more what our customers are feeling and what kind of I'm in their shoes now. And I'm seeing this like, okay, what does the end consumer want? There are much more perspectives to the product. The product is not only developing the one product anymore, but it comes with it. It's like, okay, if I take this bottle, can I create good social media content with this bottle? How is the label? Does the customer see it in pictures well? And so on and so on. So that was definitely very interesting. And also developing at the same time a story around the product was also something that was more deep than with a business to business product.
Really interesting. And I think what you just said with in the end, you're now seeing the perspective of your customer. I just assume it also gives you great insights for your manufacturing business. Is there something specifically that you already learned or executed from the learnings from your B2C business in the B2B business?
Yeah, I think especially when it comes to packaging, because I think this is when it comes to manufacturing. So we offer as a BIO, we offer the whole range. So we offer from small quantities already for easy to the market products up to larger quantities. So we have the whole range. So we know what is difficult, what is possible with smaller quantities and bigger quantities. And starting my own brand is at the point where I'm like, okay, I'm starting, of course, with smaller quantities as well. And the challenging here that I need a creative product, I need a creative packaging, but at the same time, it has to be doable considering the quantities that I can buy and that are available on the market is definitely an issue that I often also realize with my customers because it's the same point. Often packaging is something where smaller white label customers or also private label customers are at the point where they imagine some kind of packaging and customization in the packaging that is simply this amount of quantity, the minimum quantity that they want or that also I wanted with the product, not really possible. So this is definitely something that was where I'm deeper in their perspective now.
Fully understand. I think we have on our platform we see also the same. The manufacturing itself is often not the bottleneck, but it's like the components, like the ingredients, the packaging, and that's why certain manufacturers have just higher MOQs because they have to procure and purchase these kind of components themselves, and otherwise they would just sit on these quantities, and they don't have the guarantee, right, to sell the packaging to the next customer when a certain customer has like very individual needs. But that already leads us, I think, to one of the very interesting topics, and also something, especially maybe when you're starting up, but also we see it with more professional or established brands, that there is, especially in cosmetics, not always a good understanding about the difference between white label, private label, and a new custom formula development. Can you share the key difference that you see between those three, I would say, manufacturing types, if you wish?
Yes, absolutely. So I would say white label is perfect for everybody who wants to start into their own brand or with a new product with a limited budget and they want to have a quick time to market. So they want to have a product. They want to start with maybe within a couple of months, 3 to 6 months or something, or sometimes even faster. And they're looking for a product. They don't want to have too many costs, which come on top of the per product price. They don't want to have any regulatory issues, no bureaucracy with it, and so on. So the most easy approach to start one's brand. Also, for example, when you say you want to test the market, then white label is a great opportunity to do so because a lot of times the MOQs are lower. So for example, for us, the MOQ often is 100, 150, 200 pieces already. So it's very, very low considering what are the MOQs usually in the cosmetic market. So that's a great opportunity to start. When you say, no, you maybe have your brand already, your budget is a bit bigger, and you have like an idea of where everything should go, then the private label option is definitely something. In the private label option, you start to customize your product. So not just the packaging, but you start to customize the formula. But of course, with every changing of the formula, also bureaucracy comes. Because every formula within the EU has to be tested, has to have kind of a test certificate with it. And of course, this makes it then already more expensive because you have to do it with a laboratory, with a recognized EU laboratory. So this is on the one hand. On the second hand, one has to consider the producer has to start their machines. Usually these production machines are not like small machines, but they are quite big. So whenever you have like only a small quantity of material that you want to produce for like 100 pieces, it's not much material. So to start such a machine, the producer usually has to charge this process as well. So that makes the product more and more expensive. But if you have the budget and if you're willing to customize the formula, take the time for sampling, sending forth and back the samples, then that is definitely a very good option to have a product and have it slightly redeveloped, for example. Third option, for example, when you are really willing to have larger quantities, when you have the time, when you have the budget, when you are willing to take on the time of the testing process and so on, then a fully customized product is a very great option because there you can really have the product just as you like it. You can decide which ingredients you would like to have, even packaging. You can color the packaging, print the packaging. You can choose, you're basically free to really create the product absolutely according to your imagination. So both three options really depend on what is your budget, what is your time frame, and how far are you already into the development of your brand.
Cool. Very, very insightful. So you mentioned already the minimum order quantities for white label. They, I would say, really, really, really small, especially at BIO ROM. Can you also give an indication just for the audience if they want to adjust the formula? So you have the base formula. We would adjust something. It would be the private label option. What would be like, speaking in terms of a standard bottle, more or less the minimum order for that? Just roundabout, is it a 1,000 pieces? Is it 10,000 pieces? More to get a feeling for that one.
Mm-hmm. So I think here it depends on two main factors. So I think there are manufacturers that do it. They are focusing really on customizing a formula. But here we are talking about usually completely different price stands. So it also depends, where are you positioning your brand? So how much can you really pay in the buying price for you for the initial product? This is often the thing. So if you want to have a competitive price, then usually the MOQs for these private labels are quite high. We are talking about 5 to 10,000 pieces, depends. In our case, it's quite low. We usually talk about, depending on the filling size and the product, about 600 to 1,000 products usually.
Okay, cool.
So it's quite low considering market standard, and then you can still receive a competitive price, which is, I think, very important. This is also one of the considering points when it comes to the packaging that you choose, because as you said before, which was a very good point, that usually it's not the production of the process of the product that gives the MOQ, but the things around it. So for example, the packaging. Usually the packaging is a critical point, because in the cosmetic industry, 10,000 pieces is already a low minimum order quantity when considering that you're looking for a packaging, especially when you want to customize it in any way, just printing. And I'm not even talking about your personal color, but really just if you want to print it. So the MOQ then really depends on how creative or how special does your package have to be. But for example, for us, of course, we are over 35 years in the market. So we have already partners that we work with where we know they are offering smaller quantities, and where we have already developed workarounds where we can create a very pretty luxurious product with also smaller MOQs.
Cool. Super interesting. I think that's also a very good bridge now. You already started a bit talking about it, the whole regulatory part, because I also always see, depending on in which stage a company is, if they are either new to maybe their existing company, but new to cosmetics, versus completely a startup, or even sometimes really companies that are already in the cosmetic space, but the whole topic about regulatory, especially in the EU. Could you guide us a bit through the process? You already said white label is quite straightforward, but let's assume we are tapping into the space of private label. You would need to customize the formula. What would be the process here?
So usually, depending on how much you change the formula, it has to go back into the testing process. So it means we need a safety report. It's a collection of different tests that is needed for the EU, that we can put a product into the CP&P
database.
Portal. So it's a database exactly from the EU. So every product, every cosmetic product that is on the market within the EU, no matter if it is manufactured in the EU or if it comes from outside, and no matter if the company that distributes the product is located within the EU or outside of the EU, each product has to be put into this CP&P platform. And there are different options then. So, for example, if the product has to go into the testing process, then also the price depends whether you have to make every test new or whether only specific parts have to be retested. So this is something on the one hand. Here, it also depends on the manufacturer times. So usually this price is on top, of course, because you just pay it one time. One time this testing is done, and then that's it. So you can sell this product ongoingly. You don't have to redo this test. And then it is entered in the CPMP portal. The CPMP portal can either be, usually is it run by usually the account is with the producer or with the brand itself. And then, for example, we usually offer to just take away as much bureaucracy as possible from our customers, is that we enter the product for them in the CPMP portal. But larger brands, for example, sometimes also prefer that they put it themselves in the CPMP portal, which is possible as well. So it very much depends here, but definitely these steps are something that always have to be considered. And that's, of course, time, because each testing, depending on the test, it takes different amount of time, some up to 3 months.
Yeah. That's, I think, a very crucial point here. And I want to take away a little bit this, I would say, bad reputation, if we want to call it like that white label products have actually. So white label always sounds like, it's just 1 out of 5 products that I can choose, and then everyone has the same products. I know it because I know your company. You have like so many options for white labels. So maybe because now it looks a bit like a black and white scenario where you say, okay, either I can choose from 5 different variation, or I have to go into this whole bureaucratic hassle. Maybe let's talk a little bit about that actually white labeling or private labeling with very little customization, that we don't have to go into this process, is actually a good choice, because correct me if I'm wrong, but you have so many already standard formulas, already products that you manufactured, that you tested, that you developed. And I think you said it yourself, you decades already on the market. So you have probably more knowledge than many brands out there that want to start their brand. So just let's clear the myth that white label is just something, I would say, with this bad reputation. Maybe you have some thoughts on that as well.
So I think white label is a great opportunity really for everybody out there that is thinking about starting their own brand. It gives so many benefits, because you can really, as I said already in the beginning, you can really get into the market, start with your brand super quickly, no bureaucracy, and with a considerable, very low budget. That is really not possible in this way with any of the other options. It can take a couple of months. You're there. You are only building your website. You are getting into online marketing, or you're opening your shop if you like, or you go to market. So whatever your point of sale is, you can focus on that. You will get the complete product, and that's it. And the only thing that you really have to focus on, you choose. I mean, we have a load of 200 ready-made formulas that you can choose from. So I'm pretty sure that everybody can find the first 3, 4, 5 products that they want to start to get into the market, to test the market. They think about a concept, they create the label, and that's it. The rest we are doing for them. And I know sometimes the fragrance is not 100%. I wanted it a little bit more woody or this. But for the first products, it's exactly what I see now with my brand. So with the new brand, the business to consumer brand, Muy Caro, that I've started with, is exactly what I do, exactly the same. Even I could customize, of course, the material and everything, the product, but I also started with kind of a white label solution, because it's the easiest way to start off, to see, do the people like my concept? Do the people like my brand? Do the people like the products generally? And I think the most important is that you have an effective product with a high quality, that when people try it out, they feel, okay, their skin changed. They can see immediate effect. The skin is smoother. The skin is maybe, it looks younger, the more even tone, whatever it is. And then you can get into the marketing, you can into spreading your product. And therefore, white label is really a great solution, especially when you start off.
Yeah, cool. That's a really good point that you made here, because it's really, especially for a first product line, or when you're testing out something in the market. So we see also really established brands have been maybe in the supplement space, and now tapping into a couple of cosmetics products, and it's a completely new, I would say, category, right? So that the leverage that you have with a white label solution is way higher than this optimization, right? So this 0 to 1 step with white label is like done immediately. And then the last maybe 20%, you're optimizing on the go, especially as you said, also if you work with a trusted contract manufacturer like you have like best quality ingredients, best quality products, you have all the knowledge in-house that probably a lot of brands, as I said before, might not even have themselves. So this is really something I think that can give you so much power. And I just want to emphasize it one more time that the white label solutions or the private label solutions with not so much customization are very often, especially for the start, good enough to start with. And as you also said, you have 200 formulas, ready-made formulas. What we always see is, I think the best option, especially when you get started, and correct me here, please, if I'm wrong, is when a brand comes with an idea and says, okay, this is more or less the effect, maybe the marketing claim, maybe they have like some no-go ingredients or whatsoever, but list is a bit more high level. And then the manufacturer understands a bit where it goes, where it should go, and can then basically, based on a filtering principle, say, okay, here are the 5 formulas that actually matches 80% of the requirements or 90%. And then the remaining 10% we do once the brand sold their first batch, has some more capital, more liquidity, and we can get started with a private label manufacturing. So that's, I think, the way to go. I think now it's time for our sampling. So you brought us also something from your production. So very curious to look into that.
Yes, so we are focusing on everything that has to do with body care. So from head to toe, we are doing shampoos, masks, body butters, body lotions, scrubs, peelings, foot creams, everything around along the way. And we are especially specialized also in the creation of bath salts, as we are also distributing raw material, that's the salt and that's the mud. So especially when you are looking for any kind of bath salts, then come to us, because for example, we are really, like, you can see, very, it depends what you want. Like, are you looking for something like more luxurious or something more creative, or like in a normal packaging? So you can choose all kind of the raw material first, and then secondly also the suitable packaging. Also when it comes to different products like shower gel, hand and body wash, it's always very interesting on how each brand that works with us is creating their product out of the formulations that we give them. Because in the end of the day, it sounds, as you said before, white label always sounds like, I cannot really create anything. I cannot customize it. I cannot have it individually to my likes or whatever. But that's not the case. We can really so much create with a white label product just when it comes to the packaging. Even if we have to take standardized packaging due to the minimum amount, there is the label that we can work off. So we really have, I can show you here some products, like for example, something like this, but it could be also something like this, or even something like this. So you can really go into different directions and create your specialized shampoo brand, what we have, for example, with professional hair, professional products, but also where you have everything from heat protection spray over hydration hair mask with a curly styling cream that is a styling and a moisturizing cream at the same time, because it's really important when you have curly hair that you're not just using the style product because it really dries out, but at the same time put a lot of moisture into the hair because it's usually very dry or much drier than straight hair. And you also want, of course, to have the styling effect. So here quality is very important. So you see with us, we can really create your brand according to what you are standing for.
Here's a quick message from Wonnda. Wonnda is a B2B platform that enables brands to source, manage, and scale their product lines. That means that in our discovery mode, you can find private label products, white label products, and also product ideas for custom manufacturing. You can get in touch with a variety of premium suppliers and contract manufacturers. You can create your free account today and get started sourcing.
All right, Caroline, now we talk about do's and don'ts when launching your beauty product. And I assume you now have both aspects from the manufacturer side, from the brand side, you have a lot of insights to share. So guide us a bit through this process here, please.
I think it's very important because usually when you want to launch a product, time is a critical factor for you. And you can save a lot of time when you come really prepared to a manufacturer. So I think, of course, I understand that in the beginning, especially often it looks like that customers don't really know themselves what they are actually looking for, which makes the process quite difficult because you have a lot of forth and back. And especially when it's about smaller quantities, then it can easily happen that manufacturers, take a long time to reply or don't reply at all. So it's difficult. So the better prepared you come, the better it is for both sides. What does it mean? It means that, for example, that you know what are you looking for, but at the same time that you have two things. One thing is, what is my ideal version? And the second is, what is my absolute minimum that I want? Because a lot of times, especially when you're looking for smaller quantities, then the ideal version of the customized packaging and the customized material that I want inside, and maybe the box with some hot stamping, so with some shiny or silver or gold part, something like that is what you are looking for. But usually it's not too realistic that with the small quantities, this is actually doable at all, or doable for the price and the budget that you have on your end. So when you come with the minimum and what you would like to have, then this is something that you could already give to the manufacturer. They could easily tell you first if it's something they do, because every manufacturer has their specialities, their ingredients they are focusing on, their processes they are focusing on. So they could easily let you know without a lot of forth and back and wasted time. Yes, we can do it theoretically. No, we cannot do it. So that's the first. The second, always very, very good, is that you come with a reference price. So you, for example, tell them either really, I want a shower gel or whatever it is, but I want to have a shower gel and I can pay between X and Y euros for each. Or also possible, for example, if you have a budget and you say like, I have X thousand euros, I want to have at least between 3 and 5 products and this quantity. Then you can give the manufacturer an idea of what are you thinking about, what is the possibilities, and then they can already calculate from the beginning to see whether this is doable for what you want or not, and already immediately suggest adoptions to it, because sometimes it's like an ingredient that you can change or a packaging that can be changed, or instead of printing you take a label to reduce the cost. So there's a lot of things that are possible, and the better you know what you're looking for, the closer you can work with the manufacturer. And for example, on our end, close communication and a transparent communication and work and cooperation with our clients is very important. So the more information we have, the more we can try to find the ideal option to meet the expectations. So I think this is very, very important.
Cool. That's I think very helpful. And I think what's also helpful is that's what I always give our users as a tip is some parts of your product you have a very hard opinion on that they should be exactly like that. But then there are parts that are kind of nice to haves and where you're open for compromise. I think it's important also to always be super transparent. Like, is this sort of ingredient, is this an absolute must have, or is this something we're happy if you with BIO ROM have a different ingredient which does the same job or which is very similar with the effects and so on. So I think that's also something where brands just have to be super transparent with you, because as you said yourself, the more information you have about what has to be done, what are the compromise points, the better you find you find a good solution. Because after all, it's always a bit like a ping pong, right? So the customer starts with what they want, then you respond with what you can do. The better both hit the ping pong ball, the easier it is for the other one to respond to that, right? So I think that's extremely helpful.
Exactly, yeah. So really, if you have the minimum, as you said, the must-haves and the nice-to-haves, and this is very clear to both sides, then that's already a very good starting point.
Nice. Yeah, very cool. I think maybe as a last point here, what are the types of brands, first of all, where you think there's still a lot of potential to add those kind of products to their line? So maybe it's not always very straightforward, not always very straightforward to just be a beauty brand, right? And then add these kind of products to your line. What I want to say is, I already mentioned the example previously with the supplements brands that are now tapping into cosmetics and the other way around. Do you see some new interesting concepts popping up where you say, okay, actually this is a cool brand where it's just very complementary what they already have and they should extend their portfolio with you, for example?
Yes, I'm very happy to see the new movement on the market, because one of our absolutely best sellers in other markets are our scrubs, salt and oil scrubs. They are absolutely amazing. They make the skin super, super soft and much more smooth, and are really anti-aging, like against cellulitis and everything. But the Austrian and German market, for some reason, scrubs have some kind, or had some kind of really bad reputation. So people, especially when you give it to them before summer, they're like, oh my God, like I cannot use scrub at all because my tan, I worked so hard on it and I will rub it off. So that was the reputation here. In other countries, especially in countries, in places like, for example, Miami, where there is really a lot of sun, people are using so much scrub because they know that they need the scrub to prepare their skin for their tan to stay longer, right? Because you would want to remove the dead skin first, so that the tan skin is the skin beneath it, so it will have the nicer color. So I'm really happy to see that this movement is now coming to Middle Europe too. So scrubs is definitely something that is gaining a lot in popularity, and that brands that don't have it yet should start with.
Nice. That's cool. I learned something today, a lot about skincare and beauty in general. Caroline, thanks so much for joining this conversation. I think it was very insightful with tips, product showcases, and now in the end also with some trend analysis and forecasts. And I hope that a lot of brands who are thinking about adding a beauty product to their product line, or beauty brands that want to get started, got some inspiration out of that. I'm pretty sure they did. And I want to, one more time, thank you for joining us here and having this conversation.
Thank you very much for having me and all these interesting questions. So I hope
Perfect.
There was something to take away.
Cool. And everyone who wants to get in touch with Caroline can obviously do it directly with her or directly with her on Wonnda. As you know, we don't take any commission on Wonnda, so it's really the same as you would directly work with the suppliers. And we're looking forward to seeing you on Wonnda and seeing you working with Caroline. Bye-bye.
Bye.